spirituality is the discovery of yourself so that you can live the life that you want to live. You want to change your life? Start with understanding what you want for your life. If you don't, let me tell you, you will actually never live the life that you are destined to live. Everything out here is a reflection of what's going on in you. I was angry with who religion told me God was. Religion was created to keep you in the energy of fear, energy of guilt, and to actually keep you separate from God. There's nothing in between us and God. We are literally God in human form. When a human being crosses over and accesses courage, they transition from forcing their way through life into living from your power, where you could literally just attract and manifest whatever it is that you want in your life. When I finally found everything that I was looking for out there in here, everything exploded. Here's the guiding principle that you have to follow if you want to have it all in life. I'll tell you my secret. I wasn't angry with God. I was angry with who religion told me God was. I think there's a difference, you know. Um, and I also think that that's part of the spiritual awakening process. Is for you to, or when we realize that religion, whichever religion it is. For me, it was Christianity. Is essentially it was created to keep you in the energy of fear, energy of guilt, and to actually keep you separate from God. Because there is no intermediary. There's nothing in between us and God. As a matter of fact, us and God are one. We are literally God in human form, you know? And, religion doesn't want us to really know that, because when we know that, we no longer need it. We no longer need the thing, right? And yet, I got to tell you, man, it's such a scary process for people to go through, because, like, for me, it was everything that I believed, everything that, like, really, it was like the foundation of my life, which was my spiritual beliefs. And what happened was, and to be honest with you, if it wasn't for this, I'd probably still be there. What happened was that two things happened. Number one, I was in a business. I was in a business when the real estate market crashed back in 2008. And I happened to be in a business. It was a multi-level marketing business, actually, with a very charismatic leader. And the guy used God. The guy used Jesus to essentially get you to, like, be a part of his team. Guy's name was Brig Hart, by the way. And and uh, and then what happened was that the moment that, like, that business was no longer working for me, and I literally couldn't afford to feed my family, and I had to go look for another business or another thing to do, like, they cut me off. So for me, it was like all of a sudden everything that you preached about, like, love and God and all, it's like you preached it when it was convenient for you, but when I really needed your help, like, it wasn't there. And so that was like the first little sting for me, you know. And again, I know what religious people would say. It's like, oh, you had a bad experience, whatever. Listen, energy is energy, and human beings operate from the energy that lives within them. And if that energy lives within them, that energy is the energy that drew in the beliefs that they have. So you can't separate a human being from their beliefs. The fact that they believe what they believe, the fact that they're attracted to a certain religion, the energy, I'll just say it, of fear, a fear of how powerful we are, is the very thing that called in that religious experience, right? But I didn't understand that back then. I was just hurt, quite frankly. I was hurt. I was let down. And I didn't stop going to church, but little by little, I just started questioning some things. Like, I started questioning things. And then my mom died. And when my mom died, my mom passed away essentially waiting for Jesus to come and heal her. And he never came. And I'll be honest, I normally say he obviously never came, because he's not gonna come. That's not what his message was. That was what the founders of the Christian religion made his message out to be. And if you really really think about it, like, it's all fear based. It's interesting because I'm watching a show right now called Vikings Valhalla, and it finally dawned on me that, like, you don't ever watch a show where, like, from way back in the days, where you don't see that the start of Christianity was them going around killing everybody, saying that if you don't believe in what we're telling you to believe, you're going to die. And what's also interesting to me is that now all of spirituality, when you hear about it, you think about it, you think about ayahuasca, and you think about plant medicine, and you think about Mother Nature. This is what we used to not believe. This is what we used to be. You know, it's just that fear and religion came in and said, you can't believe that anymore because you have to believe this new thing. And the reason why I bring that up is because that fear, right, is what started the religion. And that fear, whether you like it or not, still exists. And it exists in everything that they teach. If you don't do this, you're going to go to hell. That's called fear, guilt, and manipulation. I don't. There's no two other ways around it. It's the same thing as you telling your kid, if you don't do good, you're not going to get a gift from Santa Claus. It's the same exact energy. And, as I sit here today sharing this with all of you, um, I can think back 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago when someone would have told me that, I'd be like, nah, no way, you know. But just look at the energy, just feel into the energy. It's one of the reasons why I made this painting behind me, was because I grew up my entire life, seeing images of Jesus hanging on the cross. I grew up saying, in Spanish, we would say, por mi culpa. It was like my fault. It was my fault. Listen to the words and the energy. Guilty. I am guilty. I am guilty, you know? And then finally, when I awakened, I wanted to see, like, I started to feel what it felt like. The Christ consciousness started awakening within me. And so I started to desire to have an image of what Jesus was actually like. He was actually a human being that was on a journey of enlightenment. He was deeply connected with the frequency of love. In order for him to have created all of his miracles and be so connected with God, he had to have all of his chakras aligned and opened. He had to be filled with peace and love. And and yeah, so I created the image to give myself, just, you get brainwashed with this image of what he wasn't, of what his life wasn't. And so, yeah, man, that's my answer.
It's really interesting because when I feel into your work, it feels like, yes, Jesus embodies an incredible avatar. And also that maybe we're not all meant to be Jesus, which, calm down. Fair enough. Um, but one of the things in there is that, like, these higher states of awakening aren't off, like, out there for other people. Like, I feel like when I've broached your work, it's absolutely everybody's birthright to awaken, to live their fullest potential, to be their truest self. Can you tell
Well,
me more
listen,
about that?
yeah, just let's just start with David Hawkins' work, with the book Power versus Force.
The
If
scale.
you're listening
Yeah.
right now, that is an incredible book to read, and it's part of what I teach at Awaken, my event. Energy vibrates and calibrates at a certain level, and we as human beings vibrate and calibrate at a certain level. And so the lowest level that you can calibrate at is shame. Just above it is guilt. Just above that I believe is fear, and then it comes desire, and then pride, and then comes courage. And courage is essentially the energetic bridge that when a human being crosses over and accesses courage, right? They transition or change from force, forcing their way through life, trying to make things happen, trying to um, find the one, trying to make more money, right? into power, into living from your power, where you could literally just attract and manifest whatever it is that you want in your life, point blank. And the greatest example that I can give of that is a victim of abuse. When you are a victim of abuse, for example, what happens is that there's most definitely an energy of shame within you. You know, because your body gets locked up and you don't feel quite like yourself. You know, and you can't operate. And so, as a result of that, life is really hard. Life is really, really hard. And you, from that energy and that frequency, are going to attract what the energy of shame attracts, right? So then let's take a look at Bob Marley. Bob Marley is a perfect example of everything that I teach. Bob Marley, I don't think ever worked a day in his life. Bob Marley was the living embodiment of love. And that love, the vehicle that he used to share the love that he had within him with the world, was music. And every single one of us can access that when we return to the frequency of love. Every single one of us can return to a place like that where we earn money, attract relationships, find love, whatever it is, because the energy within us is drawing into us everything that we desire in our life. And it becomes effortless and it lives on forever. Because if you think of Bob Marley, his music till this day, you start singing it and there's joy on your face. And that's the difference, man. And so yeah, once I started to realize all of this stuff and once I started to heal within myself, well, of course I wanted the world to do the same thing. You know, I knew that if it was available for me, it was available for everybody. And so that's what the work is all about, man. It's in my eyes, true spirituality is the discovery of yourself, and the discovery of yourself so that you can live the life that you want to live, because you are a soul having a human experience. And if you're going to have a human experience, there's two options. It's either you're going to A, make a lot of money and be free, or B, be struggling financially and never be free to travel the world and see. So which one are you going to choose? You're gonna want to be free, right? Well, it's the same thing with relationships, right? A, you're gonna find the love of your life and be in love, or B, you're gonna constantly be struggling, arguing, and fighting. Which one are you gonna choose? Of course, everybody would choose to be in love. Yeah.
But then we have a look at the choices that we would like to make, and we don't always end up making choices in alignment with our life, in our life that reflect that. And it's interesting because I love the David Hawkins scale because even like one of the things that helped me understand was like the importance of anger. I think so many of us suppress and shame even ourselves for being angry, and anger is actually on the scale as before the red sort of starts to turn into the lighter colors. Actually, it's actually it was really helpful just to witness that and sort of learn to start to work through anger rather than sort of going, oh no, anger, like that's a bad thing. You know, we're sort of disenfranchised from our anger and the emotions there. And one of the things I couldn't help but reflect on is I clearly remember a moment in my life where courage was like called out of me. I had like actually, if you don't mind, I'll share it with you. But like I had this moment of divine intervention, Danny, where I was at work and I was having my lunch and I was on a construction site, yeah, and I'm eating an acai bowl. And there's people eating all these salads. People are eating like sausage rolls, sandwiches, like pies, and like all this unhealthy food. Yeah, and I'm sitting here eating a acai bowl, and it's like, which bloke in his hard hat doesn't fit in with all the other blokes in there with their hard hats, right? Anyway, I've had this moment where I've just been inspired to like Google the word courage. And I remember Googling the word courage and having like a full on epiphany, similar to you watching Vikings. I love Vikings. I also grew up on a lot of Braveheart, one of my favorite movies of all time. And for me, I always thought that fearlessness and courage were what part and parcel. They were the same thing. And in the moment that I was reading the definition of courage, it kind of threw me for a massive spin. Well, not kind of, it threw me for a massive spin. I started having an epiphany because I realized courage is not having fear, which is what fearlessness is. Courage is absolutely having fear, but actually then moving towards it
That's
with
right.
courage. And it was like, almost like fear is a prerequisite for
That's right.
courage to be able to show up.
That's
And I
right.
kind of wanted that sort of masculine identity to some degree, which is like, I want to be someone that's courageous. And yet I'm afraid and holding back in so many dimensions of my life. And I think that the frequency of courage is never really shared with as much depth as you're sharing here.
Hmm. It's the bridge. It's the thing. It's if you've ever been in ceremony with plant medicine, and it brings you face to face with that thing that you have to deal with. Courage is the thing that's going to allow you to go into it and deal with it. Gosh, if you've ever wanted to start a business, and you have to put yourself out there, and do a video or hire someone, courage is the thing that's going to take you to the other side. If you've ever needed to forgive someone, and you don't want to because someone hurt you deeply, courage is the thing that's going to allow you to do it, to access that part of you that can forgive.
Woo! Inspired souls, thank you so much to all of you that are subscribed to the channel. Everything you see around here is powered and empowered by your subscription to this channel. Thank you so much for your incredible, incredible love and support. To all of you that are watching the video and are considering subscribing or have thought about it, or this is your third or fourth video, please do take a moment, hit subscribe, hit that bell notification icon just below. As I'm saying the word subscribe, it's lighting up in the colors of the inspired evolution like those behind me. Please take a moment, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification. It helps with absolutely everything we're trying to do here with promoting love, positivity, and wisdom around the world. Thank you so much in advance for your blessings. Back to Danny. You've had quite a few different moments which have helped you pivot, shift, change, transform in your life. What do you think it is in particular about hardship that actually helps people awaken? Because it seems like you're on a consistent path for self awakening and discovery, and you're consistently shifting and transforming. But it also seems like you have a very different relationship to challenge than your average person.
I like to think of it as hardship. I like to think of it more as the things that your soul calls into existence to help shape your journey. Um, yeah, it's like when you look at it as hardship, then you're going to lose the gift in it. You're not going to be able to see why your soul called that experience in. Does that make sense?
It does. It also alludes to the fact that potentially our soul is here on a particular mission that's predestined, preordained.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I would say that yeah, we're here for a purpose. Absolutely, we're here for a purpose.
Question I've got at this particular juncture is you're in a relentless pursuit for truth, it seems like. And at the same time, we come in as love, and you've had all these trials and tribulations that sort of bring in an intense amount of fear. And yet, courage has become this tool to sort of learn to step closer and closer into fear. It's really interesting because on the other side of your fear is also love. So I do question the faculty the like of fear. Is it something to be demonized? Because I think most people are ready to do that, or is it something potentially that's here as a catalyst for growth?
I actually see fear as love, but damaged love or broken love. Because if you think about it, when you're afraid of something, what happens is that you're going to try to avoid that thing because you want to keep yourself safe. And if you think about it, that's very loving. You know what I mean? It's like your parents that try to control you, for example, and they try to tell you, like, maybe what career path to choose or who to marry or not marry. You may not like it. And by the way, I don't agree with it, but it's their way of loving you. It's their way of trying to protect you, right? It's not the right way, but it's their way of doing that. So I would actually say that fear is love. It's like a broken or wounded version of love.
So, Danny, you've been through quite a few different iterations. Like you were initially relentless. Now it's awakening and the higher self. Like you also mentioned, like I remember reading into your story at some point, and there was this very interesting dynamic that you saw of, back in the relentless days, you had an encounter with Kobe Bryant, and that left quite an impression on you at a particular moment in time as well. Um, can you explain what happened in that moment a little bit for you?
It was interesting. It was a time when I was letting go of all things material,
Mm,
because I used to find validation and acceptance through materialism. And so I used to have a really big like gold Rolex. It was one of the nicest ones that you could find, and I remember that I used to wear it everywhere because I used to find my validation, literally as a man, and my acceptance of myself through through the watch. So when I interviewed Kobe, I remember he's sitting up there next to me with an Apple Watch, and I remember feeling so stupid, you know, so stupid because here's a guy that's worth like 10 times what I'm worth, and he doesn't have the need. Now, I remember I posted a clip about this, and yeah, maybe he had a whole bunch of watches, whatever. But for me in that moment, I saw what I needed to see to feel what I needed to feel. And at that time in my life, materialism and essentially the outside is what controlled me. It's where I found my value. Now, listen, I'm back to wearing a Rolex, and a lot of people don't know that, but I no longer wear it for you. Like I finally started to realize, like part of who I am is I like nice things. Yeah, I like nice experiences. I love going. When we go to a hotel, we stay at 5-star places. I live in a 5-star home. It's just what I like. I don't care who knows it anymore. You'll never see a picture of me. You'll never see anything of me, even remotely trying to show the world that I have this stuff, right? And it's really interesting. Like what I've discovered is that this was part of my spiritual journey. Part of my spiritual journey was being okay with myself, with who I am, you know, the different parts of myself, quite frankly. It's interesting. I was kind of beating myself up last night. I was on Lewis Howe's podcast, who the guy is absolutely wonderful. And I wasn't this calm or this grounded. Like I wish I would have been. I was really excited. I was flying off the cuff, and I was beating myself up for that. Like I messed up. Like I ruined it, right? But I get to love myself. Like I get to love myself for all of the different variations of myself. Get to love myself, and we get to love ourselves when we're disciplined and when we're not disciplined, when we're motivated and when we're not motivated, when we're focused and when we're not focused, like when we're loving and when we're maybe not so loving, when we're present and not so present. When we're on message and when we're not on message. It's all okay, man. And to me that was my reflection, was like I felt like my energy was too aggressive, right? Which is a part of me, which quite frankly has made me. But in a show that big, I was like, man, I want to make it perfect. And what I realized is that I was still deeply connected and attached to what people thought of me. And that's something that I get to heal, because I'll never, or you will never, or anyone, you as in, the listener, you'll never be able to fully fulfill your purpose if you are still attached to what other people are going to think of you.
That's a massive rub, and I think also just couldn't help but reflect that Lewis's show is much more masculine, and, if you take a look at ours, it's much more feminine, it's a bit more of a chill vibe
It,
here as well.
we're,
Yeah.
it's really interesting that like that's the energy that me and him were vibing. It's really, it was just the energy. So like both of us were just like, we were like excited. We were going after it. So like that part of me came out, and I'm okay with that. I'll tell you, I might ruffle some feathers, but I'm okay with that now. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's interesting that I love what you said. It's like trying to please others is never going to yield in us following through on our purpose. It seems like what you were discussing just before had this massive element of not just self acceptance, but also self celebration. It's like, hey, like there are parts of me that do this and there's parts of me. And I think there is so much that we carry around our self beration, but then also other people's opinions in that space that hold us back from really, yeah, stepping into who we truly are. Any advice for people that are struggling with self beration?
Oh yeah, stop. Stop and listen. And the way you stop is stop comparing yourself to others. Like you will finally feel abundant when you stop comparing yourself to other people. Like stop wishing that your life was different based off of what other people have or where other people are. Listen, man, I'll tell you my secret. People ask me, especially in the spiritual community, like I don't know what I did, man, but I have this friend, Jenny Denovi. She's like the beautiful blonde who makes the videos on Instagram, and she says to me like, brother, like you are leading the way, and I'm like, I'm not. What? And just today, I had two of my clients say they want to be the next Danny Morel, and I'm like, what? I'm just talking. I'm just being me. That's all I'm doing. And that's my secret, Amrit, is that I finally started to just be me. And I was okay with that. I was no longer seeking validation. I was no longer seeking your approval. As a matter of fact, if you guys want to have fun, if you're listening, like scroll all the way down on Instagram and you'll see the old me. And you'll be like, whoa, that's you. It's just you could feel the energy of it, man. And when I finally found everything that I was looking for out there in here, everything exploded because it was no longer about me, bro. It was about me helping people. And sometimes I do that right, sometimes I do that wrong, sometimes I mess up something, but I just never cared. I just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept honing my message, until it landed with people, and it just kind of stuck.
Hi there, guys. I wanted to take a quick moment just to introduce you to my one to one coaching. It's something that I deeply love doing. As you can tell, conscious conversation is such a massive part of my life. And having one to one, deep, meaningful conversations with people where I get to show up as your brother or as the coach or as your mentor has been such a gift for me personally, and a gift for lots of the people that I have supported on the journey of living a more spiritually empowered, spiritually powered, spiritually aligned life. You don't have to take my word for it. Here's some examples of people all around the world that have experienced profound transformations through this coaching experience.
Amrit is a fantastic coach.
In a few sessions, he got to a depth that I'd only experienced before working with certain medicines. And
he's gone through a lot of the struggles that you're probably facing, and Amrit's been a really strong, supportive figure in my journey.
In control of myself.
I'm kinder to myself.
I actually have that vision and a purpose.
I do feel like I'm a better version of myself already.
Amazing energy.
He was easy to talk to, which made me easy to trust him.
Working with Amrit at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and really I was bouncing out of bed.
Whenever I get off the calls with Amrit, best money we've ever spent.
I would not recommend him because I don't want everyone to know about him, and then I won't be able to book him. If he gets too busy, I won't get my turn.
I would say absolutely.
There's no way you can work with Amrit for a period of time without being transformed.
So if you're considering him as a coach, do not hesitate, because you won't be disappointed.
Alrighty, so hopefully that's inspiring your evolution onwards and upwards. And if you are so inspired to evolve, you can book in a one-to-one call with me directly at www.amrit.coach/life. And guys, if I can say so myself, I do think this is something quite special. Most people that I see building things online don't really work with people this deeply, this intimately, one-on-one as things start to grow, just because it is so time intensive. And yet I'm so deeply passionate about the transformation that comes from one-to-one coaching that just isn't available anywhere else. It would be my absolute honor and a pleasure to support your spiritual awakening, your spiritual path, your spiritual unfoldment. It is my life's work. I look forward to seeing you in the call. Back to today's podcast. It seems like some of this is also influenced by the work of, well, you mentioned Dr. Meltzer changed your life. Can you tell us a little about Dr. Meltzer and what he said to you that actually had such an impact on your life?
My mentor, Dr. Meltzer,
Yeah.
he was incredible. He was this little old Jewish guy that lived in San Diego. You just picture this. He was a physical, he was a doctor, like a naturopathic doctor. Um, and But he was also like a doctor of the mind. So like I would pay him to just hear him talk. And he would talk to me and like, I mean, I literally have notes. I would just sit there just taking notes because this dude used to say some shit and it was the rawest truth you had ever heard in your life. Just raw, unadulterated truth about everything, about men, about women, about sex, about life, about money, everything. Like the kind of truth that makes you go, oh my God. But then you go, but he's right. He's
A
right.
little
You
bit
know what I mean?
uncomfortable, and then you can relax into it because it actually is truth. Yeah.
But shit, he's right. And that's why I was so attracted to him, man, because in many ways, it's like that's I just want the truth. And I just want to be able to share the truth. Yeah, man. And so I can't even begin to tell you what he taught me. Everything. He taught me everything, that man.
Yeah, I remember watching a video of yours way back when it really inspired me. And you mentioned that he was responsible for you encouraging you to something about doing whatever you want in the world. You can absolutely do whatever you want for work.
Yeah,
But
here's what he
brother,
said.
yeah,
He says, Danny, he says, people either live a work style or a lifestyle. Sit with that. Really sit with that. He said, I'm going to say that again. People either choose to live a work style or a lifestyle. And when I looked at that, I saw myself, man, I was a successful business guy back when I knew Dr. Meltzer, but I was living a work style, right? Where my work drove my life. And he says, if you ever want to have it all, you cannot be in the energy of a work style. You have to be in the energy of a lifestyle where you get to choose what your life looks like and feels like. And so I was like, wow. And he goes, and here's the guiding principle that you have to follow if you want to have it all in life. So I'm like, right? He says, work as many hours, he says, make as much money as you want, but never work more than 20 hours a week. Now pause. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. But then again, he's right. Because it was like, if you really think about it, he would say, how are you going to have passionate sex if you don't have the energy to do it because you're working so much? He's like, how are you going to have vibrant physical health if you don't have the energy and the time to work out and to take care of your body? Think about it, right? Think about it. The things that we give up because we're so busy living a work style, he was like, your life comes first. And he says, and he taught me to prioritize my day into 3 different segments. First is the morning, and that's for you. That's for you, your working out, your meditation, your reading, you and you alone. The second third of your day is for your work. So I don't start work until 11 o'clock in the morning. And like right now, it's 3:52. This is about as late as I'll go. I'm normally done by 4 o'clock. Did you notice at the beginning where you were like, and I say this with love, by the way, but you were like, we're going to go 2 hours. And I was like, we're going to go like an hour and a half max. But you see, listen, this is for all of you out there paying attention. I know my boundaries. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know my value. I know what I want for my life and what I don't want for my life. You want to change your life? Start with that. Start with understanding what you want for your life.
because it would have been
Because if
so easy to
you
just people please and just
don't,
say, yeah,
brother,
we'll
if
go
you
for
don't,
2.
that's right. If you don't, let me tell you, your mom will tell you what she wants for your life. Your dad will tell you what he wants for your life. And then your boss will tell you what he wants for your life. And then the government will tell you what they want for your life. And you will actually never live the life that you are destined to live. It begins with you understanding your boundaries and being free to speak them. Yeah?
Which
Being
again
free.
requires a lot of courage.
That's right. But where do you think that you learned that courage? You learned that courage by facing the things that you don't want to face.
So by establishing them in the
How
first.
are you ever going to see? Now you got me fired up. How you ever as a man? How are you ever as a man, right, going to lead your wife if you're afraid to lead yourself? How are you ever as a man going to lead your company and your employees if you can't lead yourself? How are you going to set healthy boundaries in your relationship if you don't have any healthy boundaries with yourself? How could you possibly ever give to someone else what you don't give to yourself? And finally, how can you ever live in life and experience in life what you have not allowed yourself to live and experience within your own self? Everything out here is a reflection of what's going on in here.
The third part of our day, the third. What's the third?
Oh, the third part of the day, he would say, is for sex.
I'm so glad I asked now.
He would say the third part of the day is for romance. It's for you and your honey. It's for you to be home and you to spend time, with your family and your loved ones.
Inspired soul, taking a quick moment out to ask you, what is your biggest takeaway from today's podcast? Is it courage? Is it boundaries? Is it self-love, self-acceptance? Fear? Like, what is your biggest takeaway from today's conversation? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. For me personally, it's all about spiritual entrepreneurship and how we can show up with a vision and a purpose to live our fullest, truest, richest lives. Now, as always, Danny is likely to come back on in the future. So please, if you have any questions for Danny, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments below. We will gather those up, and next time he's on, ask the questions. Thank you so much for your comments in advance. With that, back to Danny in today's episode. I've also heard you share that some of his wisdom was to also just, you need to defend, because we're talking about boundaries, and I think this segues into, you need to almost defend just playing in your genius. Like,
right. That's right.
I'll give you this.
Well, listen, man. Listen, I'll tell you a story. I started my real estate company. A lot of spiritual people have a hard time with conversations around money, and I have to just speak to all of you. How are you going to ever have an impact on this planet without money? And then people would say, well, you talk so much about Jesus. Like, Jesus didn't have money. Oh, of course he didn't have money, because you didn't need money back then. This was 2024 freaking years ago. In today's world, you need money. Period. End of story. So you can either keep hiding and deflecting and blaming when it comes to that subject, or you can understand that you are the one that's creating your money issues or your money abundance. So I'll give you this example. I started a real estate company. I was debt broke. I had nothing. I just had a dream. And I started recruiting real estate agents, and I would recruit them and I would bring them in and I would train them. And, that company ended up growing to 400 real estate agents. And we were selling at the time 2,500 houses a year. Okay. That's a lot of houses. That's a little over 200 a month. That's
50 a week.
Seven a day or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of business, right? So then now watch, think about this. When you do that much business, naturally, you're going to open yourself up to issues. Yes or no? It's just part of
more
business.
moving parts. Yeah, more moving parts.
More moving parts, right? And I'm not the one out there selling the houses. The agents are the one that are out there selling the houses, right? So when the agents are out there selling the houses, I can't control what they do, but I'm the broker. I'm the one responsible. I'm the one liable. You follow me? So listen, we were the big dog in the area. And there were always these little brokers where when you're little because you give your time away to everything. You don't focus your energy on what you should be focusing on. And then when you don't focus your energy on what you should be focused on, guess what you want to do? You want to take other people's energies and bring them into your pile of shit called your life. That's what you do. Sorry. See, now you got me. Now I'm here, right?
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah.
It's the truth. It's the
Mm.
truth, right? So then what would happen was these brokers would always email me and they would say, I have a complaint around, 123 Banana Street with the agent, Mr. Agent. I need you to call me back right away. I went, Mr. Morel, this is my second email. It seems that you didn't get my first one. I need you to call me back. This is urgent. I need you to call me back immediately. I'm not going to call you. Like, why am I going to call you for? Third email. By the way, I don't even check my emails. My assistant would check my emails. Third email. This is my final warning. If you don't respond to me immediately, I'm going to call the Department of Real Estate and file an official complaint against you. And you know what I would respond? It would happen all the time. And I would do it to piss them off, by the way. I would say, hi, I'm so sorry. Here is the website and the phone number for the direct agent at the Bureau of Real Estate. Go ahead and file your complaint. Thank you. Because you see, what were they trying to do? They were trying to manipulate me with the threat, listen carefully, with the threat of a complaint or of a file. And it is up to you how you react to that, right? I had boundaries and standards for my business. I don't respond to emails. I don't respond to threats. I have a staff that does that for me. It's either I'm going to respect those boundaries or I'm not. And that choice is 100% inside of each and every one of us. You want to make a lot of money, you want to grow a business, I'll just go ahead and say it. You want to have it all in life, you want to be spiritually connected, you want to be healthy, you want to be in love, you want to be financially free, start to respect your boundaries.
It feels so counterintuitive for I'm conscious of the people tuning in to some degree because it feels like, let's say when you're starting up a startup, and I'm just reflecting back on my own journey with the podcast as well. And, when I first started out on this journey, I can relate to what you're saying in so many ways, but I won't bring my story into here unless it's required. But the key thing in there is you become so much of a saying yes to everything, thinking that that's actually what's going to get you ahead because,
That's what's going to get you behind. That's what's going to get you behind.
Because you feel like there's opportunities here and it's like yes, and there's opportunities here and they say yes, and there's like those are the things that are actually bringing in stuff.
That's because you don't have a vision.
Mm.
That's because you're not clear with what you want. And when you're not clear with what you want, whatever is available, you will grab. The only way that you will ever truly succeed in life is if you have a clear vision and a clear purpose and you know exactly what you want and you allow that vision to be the guiding principle in your life.
Yeah.
And then you honor that guiding principle. You respect it because you know that that vision is what's going to take you to the life that you want. And when you honor and respect it, anything that isn't in alignment with that vision, guess what you get to do? You get to say no, thank you. Where most people who struggle financially do the opposite. Number one, there is no guiding vision or principle. Number two, the reason why is because they're afraid of it. They're afraid to allow themselves to think as big as they actually are free to think. And then number three, as a result of that, they settle for the crumbs. They settle for whatever is available. Now watch this. I don't think there's anything more spiritual than that right there. So my message to the spiritual community is that you could do all the ayahuasca, you could do all the mushrooms, you could wear all the cool clothes, you could have the hat and the beads, you could float around Earth, you could do whatever you want to do. But like the nitty-gritty, do you have boundaries? Do you have a vision? Do you have a purpose? And by the way, listen, some people don't. We coach people through this. So I would start with step number one. There's three energies of human mastery. The first is food or health. The second is finances or money. And the third is sex or relationships. It's in this order. Your number one priority is your health. Why? Because if you don't take care of yourself, you ain't going to be around. That's what I told you. The start of my day starts with me, my body, taking care of myself. Number two, the second most important priority is money. It comes before relationships, by the way. I know I just pissed everybody off. That's okay. I'm just providing a mirror for the truth.
Yeah, but even the order of them like being two after one, I think a lot of people trade two for one. Like people
Well,
put food in it.
pay attention. This is important. Okay. The reason why the money is important is because it allows you to buy the food, it allows you to have the experiences that you need in life to mitigate stress, mitigate inflammation, and mitigate disease. But also, number three, relationships and sex, it gives you the foundation that you need to live a stress free life so that then you can live in a stress free relationship. Half of the issues that most people face in relationships is money. Is money. Yes or yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes and yes.
All I
Mm.
did was I decided I will never live a life where I am stressed out about money. Why? Because I saw my parents fight about money. So I decided, ready? I don't give a damn what I have to do. I don't care who I have to pay. I've spent $50,000 on coaches before for 10 hours of coaching. I want to learn. I want to learn how to get rid of this thing inside of me that doesn't believe in me. That's the most valuable thing that you can ever invest in is yourself.
It's interesting because when I think for some people listening to this, there's a bit of a clarification that's required because at this point it's do anything you need to get yourself out to potentially get in and support yourself financially because it's such a foundational piece. And then also at the same side, it's we were talking about do what you can, like Dr. Meltson. You know, it was like do whatever you can, but only do it in 20 hours a week. So I feel like there's sort of yeah, like how do we reconcile those two things?
Well,
Um,
listen, then you start with make as much money as you want and work 70 hours a week, but master it. Like go out there and get it. And then 60 hours a week.
wind your way
And
back.
and then 50 hours a week. Master it. Listen, you're going to start a business, that's what's going to be required. That's what's going to be required. At the beginning, you have to build that momentum. You have to build that bandwidth. I worked for three. Here's something else. One of my clients today says, "I want to start being a coach like you." And I didn't know what to say other than no, because I know the guy. And he says, "Well, your other client is coaching now." And I say, "Yeah, because that guy's been around me for 5 years. He has mastered finances. He has mastered relationship. He has mastered health. You haven't mastered any of them. I cannot teach you or give you my blessings because when you want to coach someone, like you're going to have an impact on their life. You have a responsibility for their life. Half of the life coaches that we have out there, I'm just going to say this, like they get in front of me that so I start pushing buttons. You know how many life coaches are out there that are broke? And I'm like, how are you going to help someone's life if you haven't mastered one of the necessary issues in life? I'll tell you how. You can't. Don't do that. You're kidding yourself.
Yeah, it's really interesting and also the coaching industry has no barriers to entry. So it's a double-edged
Right.
sword in many ways because you can step your
Right.
toe in and also find yourself supporting others, but then also yeah. But I see that, being a life coach myself is quite a bit of opportunity because a lot of people come in and the groundswell sort of validates the industry to some degree, but then obviously there's certain people that are, doing it from I believe
Well,
from
listen,
a
and
really centered place.
I'm going to end with this point. The other thing that I believe has contributed to my courage, my success, my impact, my growth, whatever you want to call it. Brother, I worked for 3 years, 7 days a week. 7 days a week, nonstop. I paid the price. I know what it's like to knock on 300 doors a day. I know what it's like to have dogs chasing you, trying to bite you. I know what it's like to have a family close their door in your face and you step with your foot in the door and end up converting them into a client and making them a lifelong friend. I know how to do that. I know how to do that. I know how to sell. I know how to manage my time. I know how to lead. I know how to hire. I know how to invest. But I also know how to open my heart. I know how to heal. I know how to go deep into the darkest places of my life. And so I think part of the reasons why the message resonates is because people can feel I may not have a certificate, I may not have a degree, I may not have any of the things that most people think they need. As a matter of fact, I don't. But what I do is I have truth. I've been through it. I've been through it and I wasn't afraid of it. And I went into it and I got beat up and I learned from it and I came back and I tried it again and I built resiliency. So that any human being on planet Earth could tell me and say, listen, I have a father wound. How do I heal that? I got you. They can say, listen, my relationship is in dire straits. How can I heal that? I got you. Listen, I want to make $1 million a year or 10 million, but whatever it is, I got you because I've done it. And that would be my message to everybody is like, go do it. Go do it. Do what? Just do it. Just freaking do it.
Do you feel like more and more people are waking up collectively at the moment?
110%. 110%. I feel like it gets a little sticky because I went through this as well. We're so here and then we drop into here and then we don't want to do anything. I've been there. I spent 2 years there. And then you wake up and realize, well, wait a minute, hang on. Like, I gotta go do something, right? So yeah, 100%.
Amazing. Yeah, I share a deep fascination for even just like it's hard to articulate, but at this particular juncture, it's perfect because I think people can really see that there's an entrepreneurial path that's available to people. And actually, spiritual entrepreneurship is one of my deepest fascinations because when you're on that groove and in that ground, like you actually have a vehicle that is showing you all your edges as within, so without in real tangible ways, as long as you can just learn to tune into the subtlety of, oh, that's what the bank balance is telling me. Oh, that's what my people management skills are telling me. Oh, that's what my client roster is telling me. It's pretty profound when you start feeling into just what's available in that space. And I think, yeah, it's really cool. Just the space you're occupying in the world as well, Danny. Just inspiring us onwards and upwards and inwards to just help us and sort of say, hey, like this is possible. And not to even just the beginning of the podcast where you're like, hey, like now I do still wear a Rolex, but I wear it for me, and that whole concept around like, it's okay to be you. It's even better to celebrate you and the
Yeah,
whole path of
listen,
self-love.
that's right. And I will say that I spent 4 or 5 years like not wearing anything, not watching TV, but I went deep into myself, and then when I came out, I was like, I was resistance to it because of the old me, and I was like, no, I don't want to go back to the old me. But no, the old me was so wounded. Like, this is for me. The same way I used to need to wear a custom suit. I just wear a t-shirt every day. Why? Because this is what makes me happy. It's what makes me comfortable. That's it.
Brother, for those that want to check out more, I'll put a link to your Instagram in the show notes below. I love your YouTube channel. It's a wonderful corner of the internet. And there's obviously you're running these, well, there's the Inner Circle, there's Awaken, there's a lot of good stuff in your world going on. I'll put links to everything in the show notes below that we can do. Man, I just want to take a moment to thank you so much for yeah, just the work that you're doing in the world. And you know, I think you going through your incredible journey of transformation, sharing it so openly and vulnerably, consistently, just the transparency you afford into the vulnerability of your own life speaks volumes for all of us that are consistently tuning into your work as well, and encourages us to, you know, it makes it okay to be going through stuff, but then also inspires us into a way forward as well. So, touch wood, I'm not surprised that there are some people that want to be the next Danny Morels, and just really appreciate the space that you carve out for all of us online, in person, and the work that you do with the world. Thank you so much for sharing yourself here today.
Thank you so much as well, man. Thank you for having me.
You inspired soul, you made it through to the end of another incredible episode. Thank you so much for your blessings, your inspirations to evolve. It is such an honor to be your brother walking this path by your side. Now, as always, I just want to remind you all that if you could please take a moment to hit subscribe, it'd help with everything we're doing here. It powers and empowers everything here at the Inspired Evolution. Your subscription to the channel. As I'm saying the word subscribe, the button below is lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. Please hit that button, the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon. Yeah, it helps with everything we're trying to do. Promoting love, positivity, wisdom around the planet. Now, also to all of you that are subscribed to the channel, a very, very, very deep, heartfelt thank you. We recently hit 100,000 subscribers, touch wood. My brain is still coming to grips with what that actually means. But really, my heart is just filled with gratitude. Thank you so much for your incredible love and support. Now, in order to continue your journey onwards, upwards, and inwards, to stay inspired, keep evolving, on screen right now, Conversations with Aaron Abke. We dive deep into the teachings of Christianity and potentially where some of them could use greater clarification. The Gospel of Jesus versus the Gospel of Paul. We'll put that on screen now, and also on screen, an opportunity for you to dive even deeper into your inspired evolution. Go on, make your click, and I'll see you in the next one.